Ladies and gentlemen, the Norway Chess Tournament here in 2025 has been nothing short of spectacular, and this is the penultimate round, the penultimate recap, and that means that we only have one video to go with Magnus Carlsen on a thumbnail for at least a week until he does something else in the chess world. Ever since Magnus lost to Gukesh, he slowed down a bit. His two classical games against Hikaru and Wei Yi were not particularly inspiring, and it's clear that the statement that he wanted to make by not just beating Gukesh twice, but also winning the tournament by a dominant margin, it's not going to be much of a statement anymore. But today, I still have some chess games to show you. Today, he's playing Fabiano Caruana, and today we saw the Magnus effect in full effect. I've been playing with a couple of different setups here in the new place, so I'm closer to the floor now. You get to see some more stuff. We're going to keep decorating the back here, and let's just get into it, because this first game was so absurd. This is the best way to summarize it, and I'm going to show you why. So, this is a rematch of the World Championship. Every time Magnus and Fabiano play, it's a big deal. Famously, Magnus said that he only ever really considered Fabiano Caruana to be the second best chess player in the world, and Magnus in this game goes for a Catalan. With the third move, g3, as opposed to knight f3 and g3, there are some very subtle differences. It doesn't particularly matter. With this system, you kind of avoid bishop b4 check. There are some variations where if you put the knight before you put the bishop, black can play bishop b4 check. In this version, bishop b4 check can be met with other things, and actually Fabiano has famously put his knight on the h3 square. He did that against Vishy Anand like 7-8 years ago. Doesn't matter. You're not going to remember that anyway. Let's just keep going. Bishop 2e7, knight f3, castles, castles. This is the main position of the Catalan, and now black makes a decision of whether to take on c4 or not. In modern days, basically everybody is taking on c4, because white is now going to have to spend a little bit of time winning the pawn back with a move like queen c2, and black will play the move a6, trying to meet this with this. Now, Magnus earlier in the tournament had a position like this. Against Wei Yi, he played the move a4. He plays a move here that I've never seen in my life. And according to the opening database, in this position, it is the third most popular move after the move a4 and queen c4, but it is played less than 1% of the time, and the move is rook to d1. And basically, you say to black, okay, you can play b5. You can defend your c4 pawn. And then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to attack the rook. And Fabiano responded to all of this instantly. He knew all of this. It's a very straightforward setup by black. You play b5, you play knight d5, and black is like, I'm up a pawn. And white is like, I'm Magnus Carlsen, because that's literally the only argument he has to make. And black is like, I'm up a pawn. And Magnus is like, I'm Magnus Carlsen. Magnus, actually, I don't know if any of you know this, all of the interviews you've seen of Magnus Carlsen, all AI. Him speaking, all AI. Actually, he talks like a Pokemon. He just sits in the room going, I'm Magnus. I'm Magnus. It's strange, but, it's the biggest kept secret. I'm exposing it now. So, bishop to b7, and Magnus goes for bishop a3, because this bishop normally in the Catalan goes to g5 and takes something. Obviously, you can't do that, so you kind of want to get rid of it. Otherwise, it would stand passively on b2, kind of getting in the way, like a dog while you're cooking, So you trade, right? Try to trade the bishop. Knight d3, it's quite obvious what we're trying to do. Trying to put some pressure on the c5 square. Two pawns in the center. And this is a modern idea in these Catalan positions. White basically goes down a pawn, but black's queenside is quite passive. There's a lot of holes, and it's not so easy to play. And we see from the opening spend, obviously, Magnus kind of more in his preparation and understanding the ideas without having to think too much. Fabiano trades the bishop now. Magnus takes with the rook, and we have knight to f6. I'm just saying Magnus so that I can boost up the people in the comments that have been leaving timestamps every time I say Magnus, and then calculate the amount of times I say Magnus every minute. Again, we only have one more day of this tournament, and then I think Magnus is not going to play chess for like at least another month until the next freestyle chess event, so savor it, enjoy it. Knight d2, Fabiano playing a5. Great. If black can trade off these three pawns for these two pawns, it's a draw. That is sort of the point of this opening for black. Black is very happy to be a little bit passive, but very massive, and trade some of these pieces, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's giving up the pawn. That is the best move. Defends a5, gives this pawn away, but now all his pieces are active. The rooks are going to go to d8, c8, b8, a8, whatever, defend, and that is how Fabiano is going to hold the game. Magnus plays b4. Nice. Fabi plays a takes b4. That's the best move. With black, you kind of want to play a4. It looks nice, but white's 2 pawns are more powerful than black's 2 pawns. That pawn could be a weakness in the long run from c3, d4, f1, etc. That was the worst drawn diagonal of all time. c6 ideas as well. So we have takes, Magnus takes, Fabi takes, Magnus says no rook trade, and queen b2. And for a brief moment, black is up a pawn again, but Magnus will be winning back the pawn on b4, h6, and queen takes b4. And right around here, I mean, I was checking in with this game periodically. Around here, I looked at the position. I was like, okay, Magnus is going to go to work, you know, because he's unemployed. He's going to go to work finally. Chess player is not a real job. And he's going to massage Fabiano a little bit. Not actually, because I feel like, can you imagine, like, what would even happen if Magnus walked up to Fabi and just started giving him a shoulder rub in the middle of the, I don't even know. Fanfiction is getting out of control. AI is getting out of control. But I was like, all right, he's gonna start massaging this position. Knight b3, he's gonna play knight d4, knight a5. He's gonna try to win the pawn, try to get the, but black is, he's really solid. I mean, this is not a position that's that simple to make progress in. The best plan allegedly here from Stockfish was to put the knight on the g4 square and then put something on the e5 square. And when white plays knight b4, you have this idea to move the bishop into the corner. But Fabi did it this way. And the point of this is that when the knight comes here, he's not going to move the bishop, because then white would play c6 and black would resign. He's going to play knight e5 and just give up the bishop. So he's going to give up this bishop. And Fabi comes up with a very nice defensive concoction here, gets his knight kicked out of the center, and puts it on c4. Now, a long time ago, by that I mean about 3 minutes, I told you that black would love to trade off his pawns for white's pawns, right? A little while ago. Remember, like around here, I said black would love to trade off the 3 for the 2. Well, Fabi traded off the 3, and basically his argument is Magnus will never be able to move this pawn forward. He won't, because I'm not going to move. And if e5, I'm going to put my knight on d5, which is, yeah, this is the defensive setup. I looked at this, I was like, I mean, I would never do this, but I've also never contended for a world championship. All right? So I would never play like this. And it looks like, you know, white is making progress, but black attacks the rook comes back, and queen a7, you could have allegedly been more active here by trying to put the queen on the d3 square, but we have queen a7, pawn takes, and Magnus takes the knight and plays queen d4. Queen d7 by black. Now, this computer is not that strong. This computer is strong enough for 99% of chess players. For you, this browser-based Stockfish is fine. When you analyze your own games, you're hanging a queen like 6 times in one game. You don't need the god of chess to tell you you hung your queen 6 times. At this level, though, if I let this run higher, and Sesse, which is the Norwegian Stockfish browser, but S-E-S-S-E, spell that correctly. If you spell that word somewhere differently, it could give you different search results. It covers Magnus's games. And here it was saying it was 0-0-0. At a high depth, the computer saw no way to break through. And Fabiano Caruana put up a great defensive. I mean, you see what he's doing. He's just like, you're not going to get through. You're just not getting through. I can go king h8. He went here. Magnus went here. Fabi went here. Magnus went here. Fabi went back. Queen a6. Rook e1. Queen e6. Rook b1. Okay, Magnus looks like he's going to put a rook on b6. So Fabi went queen f5. You can't quite go rook b6 for various reasons. There are different ways that black can try to create some immediate counterplay against your king. But rook b2, and again, Fabiano Caruana, for the last like 10 moves, has done nothing. Nothing. He just did nothing. Nothing. He was like, you can't get that. You can't. And then he took this pawn. When I say the Magnus effect in full force, this is it. If I was playing white, Fabiano Caruana couldn't have been offered enough money in his bank account to take this pawn. Because now, the black queen doesn't have a counterattacking move, and white pushes. And obviously, Fabi took the pawn because he thought, well, I'm going to get back in time and defend myself. But he's not. He probably calculated c7, rook c8, which is a draw. But this is the winning move. White pushes both pawns. And you notice the difference. The reason this was a draw is that both pawns couldn't go forward. Neither. Now they both go forward. And the problem is not just that I'm threatening a promotion. The problem is you are also getting threatened with a checkmate. That is the bigger problem. So you don't have a 7th ranked defense. Fabi goes here. And now Magnus switches things over because he's just going straight down. You can't stop the entire avalanche. The rook goes to a8. The queen takes on d5. And now this is even winning. Just trade the queens. Rook a3, queen e4. Magnus Carlsen just won again. I mean, I couldn't believe this game. I couldn't believe this game. I could not believe this game. I was like, what? I looked away. I was going to nap somewhere here. I was like, I'm going to take a quick nap because they're going to go to Armageddon. You know, I'm going to have to cover an Armageddon. And then Fabi took this pawn. I was like, what? Now, again, I'm not sitting there like, it's easy to watch the game with the eval bar. You go, ooh. But I was like, wait, but even just fundamentally, like, what did he... I didn't understand, because he played a perfect game. Fabi played a perfect defensive game. And then he just lost. Crazy. It's a little bit of karma, because I feel like Fabi played d4, b5 against me recently in Title Tuesday and embarrassed me. But no, seriously, I mean, I have no idea. It's completely nuts. The way Magnus wins some of these games is mind-blowing. I have more chess for you. Here is Hikaru versus Arjun Erigaisi. I gotta love, Erigaisi plays completely ridiculous openings. He played the Pierce defense the other day. This time he plays the Taimana variation. He goes for a Paulsen with e6. Hikaru switches it back to an Alapin with c3. And then we go to a main line with knight a3 is one of the moves. Bishop e3. I don't exactly remember. I gotta check the openings database. I thought knight b5 was the most popular move. Okay, it's very close. Bishop e3 takes, yes, queen d8, knight takes d4. And Arjun plays here. Bishop d3 is kind of a modern idea. Like, I think most people are taking or playing the bishop to the b5 square. Also, most people are going knight d5. Hikaru plays this in a way that I've never seen before, which is bishop d3, knight d5, and he just gives up the bishop completely. Gives up the dark squared bishop. The idea is the open lines to the king, and he's going to castle long. Now, the fascinating dynamics of this game, right? Check this out. So Arjun is, look at Arjun's time. He's making every move instantly. Obviously, he is in preparation. Now, the crappy stockfish in the browser says to take this pawn is the best move. That is a free pawn. You might get your bishop trapped, but then you can probably sacrifice and attack the black king. Hikaru doesn't do it. He doesn't do it because I think he realized, like, I'm not sure about taking this pawn because I'm kind of in Arjun's prep, you know? I'm kind of in his prep. Like, I'm not sure I want to take the pawn. So he just kept not taking the pawn, even though it might have been one of the top moves, but he played it perfectly. He played it great, and now you look at this position, you're like, yo, this is the way modern day computers are playing chess. Long castle into the open lines, but black's king is stuck in the center, and white just has an attack coming in. Black's king is never going to get the shelter. You're basically telling Arjun, if you go that way, I'll burn the whole house down. So, but I'm still going to come here. Erigaisi goes h6. Hikaru goes rook f1, playing great. g5 was another possibility. Computer really loved g5. And this was maybe the last moment. Like, you had to commit to the attack. But Hikaru went bishop c4, rook b6, and played queen f2. And before you know it, rook d6 appeared, rook e1, rook b6, rook d1, and the players repeated moves and made a draw. That's crazy to me. Now, if this was the last round of a tournament, like the candidates, obviously this wouldn't have happened. But I really want to know, why didn't Hikaru feel like he had something to play for here? And I guess it was just that he thought black solved his problems. Basically here, the options for white are take the half a point and do nothing, right? Repeat the position, not queen D, I'm trying to queen C2. Or burn the bridges. G5, like even here, again, Hikaru's option was to just go completely ballistic. Obviously, he didn't like something here, but I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, because G6 is easy. G6 you sacrifice. I don't know what he didn't like. He just repeated the position, and it never got going. It really felt like he had a huge chance. He sends the game to an Armageddon, though. He sends the game to Armageddon, and again, 10 minutes for white, 7 for black. We've been over this. This is your first time watching. Don't worry about it. We have E4, E5, and Erigaisi plays bishop C5, which is not a move that is seen very commonly at top level, because white very quickly can play C3 and D4. But in this game, again, because black is down 3 minutes on time to start the game, he's trying to make moves relatively fast. Hikaru wants to keep a tension and an unpredictability in the position, and this is perfect. Because here, black is down 3 minutes on the clock without a very clear plan. You kind of have to think, you kind of have to play on instincts. It's not easy. And, Erigaisi gives away the 2 bishops here, and Hikaru now goes to work. Knight F4, bishop F1, the same work as Magnus, by the way. G3, the knight goes back, and this is just, the knights can't come forward, the bishop is stuck behind the pawn. This is an easy game. This is an easy game. We just keep putting a little bit of that pressure. We're massaging the position, just like Magnus was massaging Fabiano. Erigaisi tries to break out, now Hikaru's like, oh yeah, now I'm going to push this pawn through. Now I'm going to push that pawn through. Bishop back, waiting for his moment. Erigaisi's pawn goes down, and ultimately, this is just a position that black cannot defend. The knights are too slow. B5 and E5 are very weak. You win a pawn very quickly. It's going to be a lot worse than that. You might win a second pawn. There you go. You might win a third pawn, or you might just queen. And Hikaru wins this game in riveting fashion. Absolutely paralyzing black. Nothing can move. Nothing. If you take, I take the knight. You go here, I win this. So these guys can't move. The king can only go back, and then I'm just going to go here. King G3, King G5, F4, F5, E6. It's one of the best games Hikaru played in the entire tournament. So forcing the draw didn't really matter, but still relatively strange result. Now, more chess. This one was epic. So this one was a Petrov. Gukesh has had the most insane tournament of all time, beating Magnus for the first time in his life in classical chess, becoming an international sensation once again. He's a sensation in India, of course, but on an international level, just epic stuff. Knight F3, Knight F6. The Petrov, a Chinese specialty, dare I say. A lot of Chinese grandmasters are playing this. Gukesh goes for a main line. And now here, the most common move by far is bishop d3, queen d2. Those are 2 moves. But if you look at the database, white plays queen d2, castle's long, puts the bishop on d3. Black plays knight d7, c5, knight f6, b5, bishop e6. That's what happens. But here Gukesh plays a move I've never seen in my life. He plays queen d3. There's queen d3. There's about 5 games in the Masters database here. The idea is like you get in the way of your own bishop, obviously. And then your queen is the one that goes forward. What? This looks idiotic. Why would you walk into 2 attacks by your opponent? Well, this is the prep. Gukesh now doesn't play the right plan. That's the problem. The right plan here was first to play c4 and then take, and then apparently do the same exact thing, undoubling your pawns and weakening the black center a little bit. But that looks a bit strange. Like, if you go to this position and why would you open up the opponent's rook? But this is what the computer wants. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not able to explain it to you. Obviously, it wants to remove the 2 layers of c-pawns. Knight d4 apparently is not the right move, which is weird. And very quickly, Gukesh is like, wait a minute, have I messed this up? I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to attack in this position, but Wei Yi pushes the bishop back, and for maybe like the 7th time in this tournament, just looking at the eval bar in Gukesh's game is not enough. Because you look at the eval bar, you go, how is Gukesh in a worse position already? How did that happen? He has made so many comebacks from positions that computers evaluate as bad for him. They're not, the thing is, they're not bad. They're just difficult to play for the opponent. Like, Black's plan here is knight e4, but he chooses wrong. And now Gukesh takes and plays c4. It's the best move. Softening up the center now, maybe bishop c3, bishop b4 ideas, h4 still always there. Bring the bishop this way if you can. And right here, was it here? It was here. It was clear that one guy was making a lot of progress. One guy. He was going to destabilize the center. And Wei Yi here took on d2, expecting an auto capture. If you take the queen, I take your queen. But you have to take the knight. But he blundered. He blundered the Zwischenzug, the in-between move. Bishop takes h7. The point of this move is that you want to move your queen with check. So you go here. If the king takes the bishop, the queen gives a check, then you win the queen. And the knight cannot take the queen. And Wei Yi is now losing. And Gukesh just needs to defend this. But this position is not easy. White is still down a piece. Like, knight takes, you count the material, one guy is up a piece. The problem is there is g6 check and queen b3. And even though one guy is down a piece, he has material for it, right? And different threats. He's just losing. Wei Yi. He has to give up his bishop. He goes for a counterplay. But Gukesh is just on another level. He will not be denied. Playing excellent chess. Gets out here to a 2-pawn up endgame. This is hanging. Rook f7 is incoming. And he wins. And I think he... No, he didn't beat Wei Yi twice. I thought he beat Wei Yi twice in this tournament. He has 4 classical wins in this tournament. He is now the 4th highest rated player in the world behind Magnus, Hikaru, and Fabi. The big 3, it's Gukesh number 4. The highest rated Indian, again, above Erigaisi. Epic stuff. Now, on the women's side today, it was pretty epic. There were no Armageddons. Every single game ended in the classical portion. Lei versus Humpy. This was a very even battle. It was a Queen's Gambit declined. It was the Fabiano Caruana Bishop E6 variation. He played this against Ray Robson in the recent US Championship. You don't have to know that, but you do have to know today is my half birthday. E3, Knight D7, all normal. Typical Queen's Gambit stuff. Black playing this very edgy line with G5, Knight H5. I played this quite a bit against Pia Kramling in the Battle of Generations. That was a pretty fun match. Lei turned it into a firefight with E4. Black can sacrifice a pawn, but now White is not able to unclog the center. Black gets a very nice position. Great counterplay as well. And it got only better. Humpy dominated the position, but bishop c5 was a mistake. I think here she had to play the ridiculous bishop to b4. And the idea of bishop b4 is relatively straightforward. If you lose the knight, there is rook d8 and the queen is trapped. That's the queen trap, queen e3. Now I take, and the queen has to go all the way back, and at this point you're just going to lose because you're going to run out of moves. And if you take on f4, I have bishop c3, of course, and I crash through. So she did a really nice job. But bishop c5, queen a4 allowed White to get the knight. And this is not enough for counterplay. Bishop e2, the king is hiding. And Lei went right back at her. Knight f5, queen c4, knight d6 check. Picked this up and ended it in style. She could have taken on f2 and played rook d1 and won a long endgame, but this is the nice way to go out. Why did Humpy resign here? If she takes the knight, rook c1 check, the king has to relinquish the defense of the queen or get mated very shortly thereafter. So Humpy here had the moment. On move 22, it was the biggest moment of the game. She was actually playing maybe the best game, I don't know, of her career. Like, if she played bishop b4 after g3 and found this rook d8 concept, I think it would have been the game of her life. Unfortunately, though, that's how it goes sometimes. And bishop c5, queen a4 was just unfortunately a cold shower. And Lei got the win. Now, Ju Wenjun, Anna Muzychuk. This one was wild. So this one was a completely symmetrical English. Black went d5. All of this is normal. Bishop g2 has been seen many times. e5. Castles, bishop e7. d3. Developing the rook. Moving the knight. Repositioning it. Knight c4. All good. Queen a4. Knight e3. Obviously going to d5. Bishop e6. I mean, white is doing everything great, right? Normal. Like, every move makes sense. e3 is going to come. Then you're going to bring the queen right back. Okay. Yep. I think around here, Ju Wenjun could have taken on a7, and even here she could have maybe played slightly differently, but Black launched some counterplay, and this position spun out of control so fast. So Ju Wenjun took on f4, and I think the move rook f4 coming down was psychologically, like, earth-shattering. Because you're like, what? What happens when I take and I push? Well, now you have to figure out how to defend yourself. It's not easy. The best plan is allegedly e6 with a queen and a rook. She goes here, though, and she tries to break out violently. The thing is, if you just wait, Black will go here and eat the pawn. Like, somehow the white position is not fast enough defensively. So she goes d4, trying to violently break out. And unfortunately, what happens is she doesn't. And Anna Muzychuk plays this game like the Terminator. Knight, bishop, queen. Look at, I mean, this is just, look at, this is the, I mean, this is Terminator style chess. Bishop b4, bishop b, just takes everything. The king hides. And even the endgame is losing. I mean, you lose at every phase of this game. This was insanity, the way she won this game. Rook d3, king d4, bishop e... What? And then the whole queen side collapsed, and the king took all the pawns. Knight c3, and just... This was nuts. The king walked the whole length of the board. And didn't even need to participate in the end. And this is just winning. You queen. Gonna queen one of the pawns. She just beat the 5-time world champ like that. That was unbelievable. It was a crazy game, and she's in first place. And I have one more for you. Vaishali versus Sarah Kadam. Sarah Kadam, underdog in the tournament. 24-40, not even a GM. I mean, me too. I'm just saying every other player she's playing against is a GM, right? We have bishop to b5, which is the Spanish. And we have an Archangelsk. This very provocative system in the Italian and Spanish nowadays where white can move the bishop to g5 and then get kicked out like this. And this just turns into a very big firefight. The problem is, if Black gets those pawns going, it's really bad news for white. And in the early stage of this game, Black had a great position. She had the bishop, the opposite colored bishops. Bishop b2 was a very nice move. You cannot take it because there's a knight fork. The bishop will wrap around. And, I mean, it was just a mess. Here, Vaishali can seize back control of the game with knight h5, queen e4. She goes here, though, allowing Black a little bit of time. She puts the wrong piece on h5. The knight apparently needed to go there, but it's still very complicated. It's very messy. She's going to get another chance with rook f5 and rook e5, sacrificing one rook to play rook f7 check and win back the bishop and be totally fine again. Like, it looks like there is no way white can lose this position because the queen is just, you always have a draw. But somehow, Sarah Kadam coordinates her pieces perfectly. Chucks the whole, look at how the king ran. She chucked the whole side of the board. And she's like, I just need to win one pawn. I need to win one pawn. And now I have my pawns. And I'm going to start pushing. And my king is also going to go on a run. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. What? Black has too many pawns. And Black is going to end up sacrificing either one of the rooks or stopping the pawn completely. And she's just going to win the game. What is with these black king runs to the opposite side of the board? These games were crazy. And she resigns because you're just gonna queen, and even you have ladder mate. You have ladder mate if it's not good enough. So Sarah Cottam gets another win in the classical. She's on fire. She's won a lot of rating points, I think, in the classical portion. So for the women, it's Anna Muzichuk in first place, Sarah Cottam and Vaishali 9.5. The bottom two, and then it's very close between Ju and Jun Lei Tingjie and Humpy Konaru. Magnus is still winning the Open. Gukesh is in second by half a point with the win in the classical. Tomorrow is the final round. We have Wei Hikaru, we have Arjun Magnus, we have Fabi Gukesh. Now, what's funny about this is that afterward they interviewed Magnus. And Magnus, it was a long interview, and I'm going to take things out of context here by just summarizing a couple of, but he said a couple of spicy things. The spiciest thing he said is that he thinks that Fabi and Hikaru, if they win the candidates, would be a favorite in a match against Gukesh, World Championship match. He even said Nepo, I think. I saw somewhere it was posted. Maybe he didn't. And then he said that the reason he was unhappy with himself, like, look, I just showed you he didn't win the tournament, but he's only in first by half a point. The way he wins the tournament is by winning in the classical. It's probably not going to happen. It's not so easy to do. But he said he wanted to show that he is still significantly better than everybody else. He's not happy just winning the tournament. The most heartbreaking thing for him in losing that game to Gukesh might have been to Gukesh. It might have, he might have had the same reaction losing to somebody else. He threw it away, but it wasn't just that game. It was that he wanted to show that if he plays, he is still the best player and it's not close. And having a very close tournament victory is not good enough in his opinion. And you know what? Neither you, none of you watching this, or myself, know what it's like to be a top athlete. So we just got to respect that mindset. And we just gotta, enjoy the moments while Magnus is still playing. While we have this was a great tournament so far. I mean, really, best one this year. And it honestly, well, I'll talk about it in tomorrow's recap, but honestly, if anything, this tournament taught me we don't need to switch the board up every game. Like, the freestyle chess stuff is cool, but the whole kind of argument is like, well, classical chess is boring. Yo, give them 2 hours and that's it. 10-second bonus on the 40th move, maybe 30-second bonus instead on the 40th move. This is a great format. They got one time control, no bonus time at the 40th move. Let them play. I've been enjoying it a lot. You have a lot of combative players. Anyway, get out of here. See you tomorrow.